let's assume they have 2 teams, 3 teams, and they're cranking. They're still kind of scaling. They're growing year to year. What do you look for? I know what I look for. What do you guys look for? What do you think is the mark or the marker for when it may be time to in a healthy way, find some other avenue, some other add-on? When is it safe? What are we looking at? Revenue? Are we looking at lead gen? Are we looking at, how many weeks out you are on your production schedule?
Alex Hormozy says it really, really well. As long as there are other competitors doing what you're doing, you have not hit like the ceiling, right? So as long as there are other gutter guys in your market, there's more for you to grow, right?
But there's a law of diminishing returns, and you're always never going to have all the market share.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so Josh Latimer and myself did a deep study or dive into this years ago. Josh kind of started it, and then I kind of rode his coattails and didn't really help, but whatever. But we deep dove into this because we want to figure out, I live in a small market. Like, how much of the market share do I actually have?
Yeah.
And he did it in other markets, and what we found is like the largest companies that you can think of, whether it be HVAC, plumbing, Tommy Mello with garage doors, whatever, at the max had about 10% of market share, but on average, only like 8% of the market share.
Interesting.
And
that checks out pretty much with I did the same research on my own company, and that's I maxed out at 12 at at a 25-mile radius. I've got 12, but it drops down to like 6 when you double that mileage.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like, oh my goodness gracious. Like, there's so much more for me to get right here, and blew my mind, like absolutely blew my mind. So, so like my thought process, like I genuinely think I'm an idiot for adding roofing and windows. Like, I really do. Because I'm like,
wait on that.
Yeah, because I could have scaled, I still can, right? But scaled gutter way, way better, way bigger, way faster. I could have gotten into like custom, we don't do any like custom half round or box gutters. Like,
all right, so I would agree with you then.
Right. Like, there's a lot that I could have jumped into. We don't service contractors. Like, we're starting to now, but we've been only retail for forever, right? And so I'm like, I could have scaled this thing way more, like, and not been distracted by roofing, not been distracted by windows. Like, if I would have just stayed focused, and then, okay, if I do feel like I'm tapping out my market, all right, let's go another 20 miles, and then, okay, let's go another 20 miles, and done that. But just had the systems on lock. I mean, it took me 6-7 years to build Gutter Launch, and build the training out for that and everything. Like, it took way longer than it should have taken me. But
it takes longer than you think it's going to take.
It does, right? Always.
Hormozy talks about that too.
Right. So yeah, that's my take on it. I love roofing. Like, it's just, at the end of the day, I love solving people's problems. So, with roofing, I get to solve insulation and ventilation issues, and like, that's cool to me to build a full roofing system and then tie it in with fancy gutters. It's like, this is kind of fun. This is a lot of fun. So,
there's two methods, right? One is stay in a hyper-local market, which I could kind of say maybe I do, right? I'm in this, like, let's say 20, 25-mile radius, and I stay there. And I want to grow and expand in that market for a number of reasons. One is a higher net worth in that zone. I want to stay in that high net worth zone. B, I think it's easier from a marketing perspective to get that brand awareness, get my name out there, touch people multiple times, versus me spreading myself out. The other thing is I have incredible traffic where I live, and it's really hard unless I pop up another shop, which is a possibility, but to get another physical location at that 25, 30 mile mark outside and then keep scaling that way. For me, I feel like I'd rather max out in a hyper local than continue to expand. Now, you two are, you guys are stretched out a lot more than I am. You can travel. You're almost forced to travel. Seth has to go far. Colin, you are somewhat rural.
Yeah, super. I mean, I'm traveling. We go up 3 hours north and about 2 hours south. So
that's something to keep in mind at home. There are different ways to play this game in different parts of the country. It's not the same program, plug and play anywhere. It's very, very unique to metro versus rural versus, there's so many flavors here. So you got to be strategic. But let's like Tommy Mello, right? Back to garage doors. He's growing by acquisition. That is his strategy. And he's national, right? Is he in every state now?
No, I think he's only in 22.
Okay.
Only in 22.
Yeah. But that's a completely different growth strategy. That's right. If you're solvent and you have the money to acquire, you can grow rapidly and win, right? You don't have to. You're bootstrapping because you're paying for it, but it's not your traditional bootstrap where you're taking your vehicles and hustling into another territory and trying to get that set up. You're just taking another business that already has the personnel and the equipment, and now you own that, and then you're applying your systems to it.
As someone who's done that, it's super, super great.
Yeah, it's definitely the way to grow. You just need the capital or the startup.
It's by far the cheapest that I've found.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not free by any stretch of the imagination, but it's actually quite affordable, and you grow in chunks that are working already. So
sure.
I would suggest that to anyone who has the opportunity.
What did you to tell us more about this?
I bought out another small company in like 2014, 2015, somewhere around that.
Oh, we talked about this. Yeah.
But that was I didn't get much out of that. I got equipment and pretty much nothing else. But a year and a half ago, I bought out a competitor that was twice my size, and then just absorbed that company into mine.
Did that stick? Those numbers stick on the books?
We rounded out the first year. It broke the fiscal year funny, but at say the 365-day mark, it was about, let's say, 1 + 2 = 2.7.
Okay.
And then so far for this year, it looks like we're going to actually grow about 20% from 1 + 2. So it actually took.
That's growth. That's great.
Right.
Yeah. It's working.
That is really good.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, when I started to branch out to other things, I did it like obviously I'm deep into drainage, right? I have a whole nother LLC for that, and I make more money in drainage than gutters at this point. But they're neck and neck. They're doing like $2 million each business. This year we're pushing for $5 million collectively. Drainage was a no-brainer because I think that's a real easy parlay with rain gutter. It just goes hand in hand. But for me, when I started looking at other things, it was when I started. Well, first of all, I completely exhausted myself on marketing efforts, right? Like tried everything, spread the money, tracked everything. And then you start to see a little regression or slide where you're like, my spend is just, the ROI is not there anymore. It doesn't matter if I spend more. I'm not generating more leads per lead source per se. And if you're tracking that closely, you'll see like you kind of hit this glass ceiling, whether it's market share or now, Colin, you argue me on this because I'd love to talk about it deeper, but you're saying push, push, push. Yes, you could grab market share, but I feel like there is this innate glass ceiling where you get so big, you spread the money on marketing efforts, and then all of a sudden you're not getting as many new leads than the dollars you're putting against it. So then I say, okay, well, what else can I do? Can I take the same client base? And that's the other thing, guys, at home. You need to, if you have thousands of customers in a client database, you have something. You have a lot, right? You could now really start playing games and offering things that you forgot about, or you haven't put the effort into, and that goes and goes. We have like 10,000 customers in our database. So when you look back and go, well, what do I have? I have this database. So what else can I service them with? Then it made sense to me, and that money goes real long, especially if you're choosing things that are, look, drainage has been around, but stormwater is an emerging market. So I'm big on stormwater. I own that keyword in my hyperlocal, and so I'm the boss with that. So we get all the leads on that, right? So I don't know, man. I don't know. Where to take it? How do we help people steer their businesses? Where do we go? It's so unique to where you are and what.
At the end of the day, it really just depends on what do you want as the business owner too. If your target is to make an extra 50 grand a year, you need another service to do that, right? That can happen with price increases.
For sure.
That's it. So if you're stuck at 100K a year and you're like, if I just made 150, it would change my life. There it is. Increase your prices. You make 150K. Merry Christmas. Right. Off you go.
Well, what's the average dream? I think the average dream is probably like the $2 million mark in gross revenue. I think that's a healthy number to, most guys are trying to shoot for.
I think that's the new, COVID ruined everything, and $1 million used to be really calculated. Now it's 2. So
right. So what do you need to put together to hit 2? That's the $1 million or the $2 million question, right?
Right. And that also depends on what your business model looks like. Are you going to pursue being a subcontractor? Because then it looks like 4, maybe 5 or 6 trucks. That they're not going to pump. They're going to pump out 400K a year, and a ton of footage. Or you can do like what I've done, where my retail trucks do 1 to 1.1 mil in 8 months, 9 months. And that's all. That's all they do. Is high dollar retail jobs. They don't pump out near the footage some of these guys on the Facebook group do. But we're also not showing up to DR Horton or Pulte Homes and doing gutters on 6 houses in a row that all got built in the last 30 days. Right. So it's just like, what is your model? What works for you? What do you like doing? And then you just reverse engineer it. All right. I know this truck can pump out this many feet a day. This is our per foot price. Boom. Okay. There it is. And you just kind of reverse engineer that. And then you determine, is this enough for me? Is this what I want? And you go from there.